So hello, welcome back to Fear Blade. Words are hard. What's happening? Welcome back to fucking Fear Babes. My gosh, please tell me who is your favorite biblical character.
Me right now?
Yeah, and all the listeners in the comments. But yeah,
Oh
you
gosh. Let me think really hard.
go. Mine's Moses.
Yeah, that's a good one. I wish I had known this beforehand because there's so many like good ones, and
Just name one that comes immediately to your mind.
well, the first one
It can't be God.
The first
That's
one
obvious.
that came
It's
to
too
mind
obvious.
was Jesus. That's why I was like,
Too obvious. Okay, second then.
let's see. What's another good biblical story? This is so hard. I don't like this. I don't want to go the easy route either, because then what does that say about me?
Dude, you have more knowledge of it than I do.
I know that's why this is hard, because there's so many people in the Bible that it's like, and like, not everyone's perfect, but
I've just always been drawn to Moses.
Moses is really, I think Moses' story is the most interesting. Like, not with like, not trying to take your answer, but like the story with like the Pharaoh, and like I love ancient Egypt as a whole. Mm-hmm. And just learning about, like when Moses was taking like all of the people into the promised land and their journey and
the parting of the Red Sea.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's a powerful story, and the covenant that was made with God, coincidentally enough.
Hold on. Real quick, before we lose people, there's a reason I asked this question. It is on par with today's theme of topic.
I was actually about to say that.
I don't want people to dip out and they're like, oh, you guys are talking religion, I'm out of here. No, there's on par with today's topic. That's why I asked that question, so don't leave, please.
I mean, we are partially talking about religion today, so I mean, that's not entirely wrong. But
yeah.
The power that comes with what we're talking about is very interesting, and all that. So I'm going with the easy answer, Moses. There's just too many characters to pick. I mean,
do our screen names pop up on our recording, like when we post it?
No.
Lame.
I don't know
I'm over
why.
here making mine all funny every single time, and then it doesn't even show.
Never does. I don't know what is up with that, but
lame. Okay.
It doesn't.
That's cool. That's why you're just M.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Mine says Moses is the best today. Previously, it was Big Badinky Bones. Shout out Marcus.
Yeah.
So.
Shout out that guy. He's crazy.
Marcus the Worm.
I figured out who Marcus the Worm actually is, though, but I don't want to say it.
Oh, I've known. That's words. I'm having a stroke. I've known for a long time who Marcus the Worm actually is.
Oh.
I just choose to ignore it.
Yeah, I choose to ignore it, too, because, it's...
There's actually some Marcus videos where that person's screen name is above his head, so... Or gamer tagged, I guess.
Wow. Let me just say, it's just not what you expect if you've watched Marcus videos because of us. I was like...
Keep the illusion.
Yeah.
If you don't know.
Yeah.
Just keep it more mystical that way.
Anyway.
We want the illusion to remain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're kind of struggling today, I feel like. Both of us have been sickly. I still sound sickly. I don't like being sickly. It makes me mad. And Bergie has also been sickly. And we're just kind of like, so
there's just like no energy happening.
There's no energy, but
it's just like flatlined.
There's no energy at the moment. I feel like once we get this like picked up, we're gonna be. We got this. We got this. Your expression, you're just like. Yeah, so this week has been kind of weird, but like overall a good week. You know?
Well, that's good.
Would you like to tell us about your week?
No. No, I actually don't think I can talk about shit publicly
There's nothing
in a public forum.
Is there anything good about your week that's not that related?
My week
Tate's
was pretty
there.
standard. Yeah,
Tate's in
here.
Wyoming. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. For me personally, I just kind of like hung out. I started watching a new series on Amazon Prime. It's called We Were Liars, and I'm obsessed. I'm probably going to couch rot for the rest of the day after this and finish it. And we're having steak tonight. Me and Mom went to to go get pedicures. I would show you, but like I'm actually pretty flexible. Should I show my beans?
If you want to.
Okay. Look at my beans.
Why do you call them beans? That's a real question.
They are beans. They're like your toe
Why
beans.
do you call them beans? What is the story? Give the backstory.
I don't really have a backstory. I mean, I just call them beans. Like, you know how like dogs have toe beans? Well, I call mine beans. Beans. I'm obsessed with this
Sick.
color.
Nice. It's like a mint color.
Yeah, dude, I love mint. I like, if you know me, my favorite color is green. So like anything green or like in a green tone is like everything to me. At least for right now. Green's been my favorite color for a hot minute though, I gotta say.
Nice.
You know? But yeah, mom was off yesterday and she was like, "Hey, do you want to go get a pedicure?" And I said, "Absolutely, I do." So I went with her to town. We got coffee from my favorite coffee place ever, which that's how you already knew it was going to be a 10 out of 10 day. Getting coffee from your favorite coffee place. It's a chain around here. It's called Clutch. So good. It does come in clutch, just saying. Got the pedicures. We went to lunch at an authentic Mexican place. Brother, I love that place. So good. It's they give you like all your little sauces for free. So they give you cheese dip, salsa verde, avocado salsa, pico de gallo, regular salsa, hot salsa, and limes.
Yum.
All for free. And it's like, oh my God, this is everything to me, you know? So we did that. I'm just going about my day from yesterday because that's pretty much all I did all week. Did that. We went to downtown, shopped around a little bit, met up with Janice. I had a beer, and then we came home. And I literally, like, we were going to record last night. If you're wondering why we're recording in the middle of the day, Bergie was like, "Yeah, so I'm out for the count." And I'm like, "Sick? I mean, not sick for you. Definitely not, but like sick for me because I got to take my makeup off and go to bed early." So that was fun.
Always a plus.
Always. So, yeah, today is just a chill day. Presently looking at the stalks of corn across the road.
Nice.
They've grown a lot since you were here.
Sick.
As they do. It's hot as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really hot here. Like summer is in full effect. I think it's supposed to feel like 107 today or something. And I was like, say psych right now. You know? Like, what is going on?
That's wild.
Ass. It's ass.
It's wild.
And it's humid, so there's no chance for any hair straightening going on.
Makes sense.
So, yeah.
Yeah, my week was pretty standard stuff. Just mostly routine. Lots of appointments. Annie had surgery, which went well. She's doing
Yay.
perfectly fine. In fact, she's kind of fucking annoying right now.
Poor baby.
Annie. She's outside the door. But yeah, basically, long story short, been going through some actual fucking bullshit. And it's just continuous, so that's fun. And then it's like when it rains it pours, so that's how shit happens, but you just gotta get through it, so that's all. Just gotta like stay strong, know you're stronger than you think you are most of the time. Find ways to cope and like do things that keep you mentally stable, because shit is just wild sometimes. And yeah, just gonna keep on keeping on and figure it out.
Yeah, my therapy when I was dealing with shit like that last year was going on weekend trips, which I can do because I live in an awesome area where if I want to go to the mountains on a Friday night, come back on a Sunday afternoon, I can do that. If I want to go to the beach the next weekend, I can do that. So I would just do that. Like, I know everybody else can't, but you know, you got to find something that works for you and just kind of like take time, you know, just maybe a different scenery, something that's not what it is, you know, because when you're seeing your everyday shit and you're like,
it's about like you can't always control what's happening to you, but you control your mindset and your attitude about it.
yeah,
and so
100.
It's just waking up every day choosing to be positive in a negative and moving forward with that, and then have specific things that I'm like maintain my water intake, maintain my health, continue to go to the gym, do things that make me stay happy, to continue to move through certain situations and aspects of life. So
Yep, that's exactly what you gotta do. And like surround yourself with good people and good times, and you know, until you can move forward, you know, you just have to keep going on. Which really sucks. It sucks to say, but you know, it's the truth, honestly.
even little things make a difference, though. Like moving forward even could go back to you just choose to look at the positive instead of the negative of your situation, and it's just a daily thing every day. Wake up, new day. Just focusing on getting through one day at a time at the moment.
100.
And it is what it is, but we're making it through.
Yeah, like, you know, I went into this like mindset where like I would still try to find like positive aspects of every day. You know, like, oh, this happened today. Like, this is a good thing. And like looking forward to, you know, different things. And like last summer we got a pool, so I would be like, all right, I just got to get through this day, and when I get home I can go swim. I can go get a tan.
Earlier when you were like, is there any positives about your day? I didn't say anything because technically all things about my day are positive.
Yep.
Technically. You wake up, that's a good sign. You have food, water, shelter, good sign. It's just very main structure, minute things, but none of them are bad. So, living is good. Shadows on the wall. I'm guessing Samuel and Leah.
No, I have ghosts in my house.
No, Samuel and Leah.
But yeah, I'm sitting in a different position, obviously, because like I said earlier, it's the middle of the day. So I would have had an extreme glare behind me because there's a window behind me where I
Makes
usually
sense.
sit. So it just wasn't going to work out, which is fine. It's good, whatever. But yeah. Now all I'm thinking about is my leftover Mexican. I'm like, ooh, I love some leftover Mexican. Like that shit is so amazing. That's my favorite thing to eat ever. But anyway, so we can. I mean, do you have anything else you wanted to talk about? Because we can totally get into this week's topic if you want.
Nope. I think
Hell
we'll just
yeah.
dive right in.
Hell yeah, because I love this topic. It is one of my favorite topics ever. And honestly, like, it is genuinely one of history's greatest mysteries that just blow my mind. I have ghosts walking again in front of me. Do you
Bye,
see the shadows?
ghosties.
Bye.
Yeah. I was looking for something, actually, in all of the notes I have all over the place. So while Mads is muted, I have notes to my left, notes directly in front of me, and notes to my right. So if y'all see me looking all over the place, that's why.
Yeah, I, of course, wanted to start by saying we're talking about the Ark of the Covenant. If you don't know what that is, buckle up, Buttercup, because we about to tell you all about it. And I'm so excited. Oh my God. I'm such a nerd when it comes to this stuff. Through and through. Just truly. I did want to begin, if you don't mind, with the history of the Ark. You're wondering why Burgundy asked about our favorite Bible character. Well, the Ark of the Covenant has everything to do with God and the covenant he made with Moses and his people. And so here's how it all went down. In the book of Exodus, we learn about the 10 Commandments that Moses brought down from Mount Sinai, right? That's the famous story. We all know of that. A portion of the manna and Aaron's rod that withstood the great test of the tribes. I don't want to go too crazy into the Bible because I know it's not everybody's thing, but the tribes were... It's a whole thing. So these commandments and the manna and Aaron's rod, the reason why these things are important and why I mentioned it is because they are within the Ark of the Covenant. And the Ark of the Covenant itself, in the book of Exodus, this is crazy also, is that God gave specific dimensions to Moses. And he said, I want you to make this ark to keep these incredible, essentially artifacts in, because each of these artifacts hold tremendous powers, like unbelievably so. And the ark itself also holds tremendous powers. Back then, like, it was used as an ancient GPS. Like, one story that is told is that, like, it would lead the way to the promised land. So they would, like, let it shoot up into the sky and it would go 3 days ahead, and it would, like, let you, like, it would direct God's people on where to go. So powerful was this that they would bring it into wars because it could be used as a nuclear weapon. And if you even touch the ark, it will strike you dead. So all of this, knowledge is absolutely unbelievable, right? Like, how can something so powerful disappear?
It also was the vessel for God to talk to his people. And vice versa.
Yeah. So, that was a whole thing.
Because pre-Jesus, it wasn't like you just had direct access to him like we do now.
Yeah, that's
this
important.
Was the only way.
That's important to note too, is that, like, I'm glad you brought that up because that is how they would communicate. Like there was this, it was like a temple with a room in the back that was blocked off from like the outside, and you would have to provide a sacrifice to speak to God. And as you know now, you know, like Jesus was the sacrifice, and that's how we're able to directly communicate to God.
It was actually the final sacrifice, which is why we could stop giving animal sacrifice to talk to God.
Correct. Yeah. When I learned that, I forgot when I learned that, but I was like, whoa, it all is full circle. Because, you know, you kind of sit there and you think, like, why did people provide sacrifices just to speak to God? And it's because, you know, like, God, it's not that he didn't, we just weren't worthy of God. You know what I'm saying? And we weren't worthy to communicate with him without providing some sort of sacrifice, because we as humanity, we're so sinful. And
I was gonna say,
like,
some might deem that we're still unworthy, to be honest.
We
That's a whole different topic, though. We don't need to go down that rabbit trail.
We are always unworthy, but we have Jesus' salvation now. So that's why. But yeah, so the ark, I mean, this thing was so powerful. I mean, it is a treasure within itself, right? I'm trying to think of where to go now, because I'm like, there's just so much. Because
so we were talking about the powers of the ark and everything it was capable of. I was trying to help you get on your train of thought.
I just don't know, like, where should we go next with this? Because, like, I can go with the rest of the history if you want. Because, you know, after God sent his people to the promised land, that was part of the covenant. That's why it's called the Ark of the Covenant. The covenant that God made with Moses and his people is that he would send them to the promised land, and everything in, you know, the Old Testament leads into the birth and death of Jesus, right? So by sending these people into the promised land, that would then become Jerusalem and the true Holy Land that we know that it is today. It was just, you know, a covenant. Like, literally, I don't know how else to say it, but it's just like, this was God's way of saying, okay, like, this is my promise to you. So what we do know is that according to the Hebrew Bible, the ark was held in King Solomon's temple in Jerusalem for 4 centuries. So 400 years. That is the last place that the ark was seen, and record of it was last left. Let me make sure I got my dates right.
There's speculation that the dates are not totally known anyways, so.
They're not, but like, the Babylonians came into Jerusalem, right? And they completely burnt the temple of Solomon.
I might have that written down somewhere.
And
the date, I mean, sorry.
It is not widely, but one theory of where the ark went is that the Babylonians either A, burnt it down, or B, they took it.
I have a hard time believing it was burnt down.
I also have a hard time believing that.
Because if this thing is so powerful that it shoots thunder and lightning and you touch it, you're dead, I feel like it is indestructible.
Yeah, I don't think that that's what happened. Now, there are quite a few things that I feel could have potentially happened. many believe that King Zedekiah hid the ark somewhere in Jerusalem before the Babylonians came in, which I think is a very, very, like if this is something that's so important, why would they just leave it to be destroyed or taken? You know what I'm saying? Something that is so holy and religious and, was a covenant from God for Moses. It doesn't matter how many centuries before, they're going to want to hold this artifact, this powerful artifact, for as long as they possibly can. So they think that Zedekiah more than likely hid the ark underneath the city of Jerusalem. And what's funny is that in Jerusalem, there are caves everywhere and like under the city, like so many that it is an excellent place that if you want to hide something, put it in one of those caves, because there's so damn many. You'd spend like your entire life trying to find what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? Super crazy. Another possible theory, I don't know, what other theories have you heard as well?
Well, before you move on from that, so actually in 2007, two architects, I think, don't quote me on pronunciation, but Ronnie Reach and Eli Shukron, they actually discovered tunnels under the temple that led to outside the city. So there's a theory that they actually were able to transport the ark outside of the city, but they couldn't make it far because the Babylonians had the city surrounded for actually years before they attacked. So the theory goes that it led outside the city to... It was under the city walls, and the walls were like 10 feet tall, and it went to, I think it's the Kidron Valley, or Kidron River, which then led to Qumran, actually. So there's theory that it was taken to Qumran, and it's in a cave just outside of Qumran, and there was this guy. He's not really an architect. He was like a teacher or something, and then like when he retired, he just started looking into this stuff, and he actually went and found this cave, and then it's sealed off, and he took a sample of it and sent it back to a lab in Illinois, and it's actually man-made concrete from way back then that sealed off this cave. So he's tried to get permission from Israeli authority to dig, but they will not give him permission to dig. So he's taken metal detectors out there, and the metal detectors actually went off the charts when they got close to this cave.
So
like ridiculously off the charts.
We'll come back to that because it is so fascinating to me what they won't let people do. Like the Israelis, they're very protective of the Holy Land. But we'll come back to that because there's another researcher and amateur archaeologist who went and did that, but something similar. But kind of taking it back a little bit, one of my favorite theories that I feel definitely could be something, is that in 1118 AD, the Knights Templar took over Jerusalem during the Crusades. And the Temple Mount was, coincidentally enough, their home base. And the Temple Mount is where King Solomon's temple was before it was burned down by the Babylonians. Which, remember, if you guys recall, is where the ark was last seen. So it is documented that the knights looked continuously for the ark and other Christian relics, because I don't know if you guys know this, but there are a ton of Christian relics between the Roman Catholic Church in Rome and then in Jerusalem itself. Like, they have what is supposedly the crown of thorns of Jesus. They have Mary Magdalene's skull. They have a, like, where they believe that Jesus was laid to rest, like his tomb that you can go and visit. Very, very fascinating. So they were looking for all of the stuff. And they actually believe that the Knights Templar did find the Ark in whatever cave that King Zedekiah put it in, which wouldn't be, like I said, unbelievable, because if they're actively looking for it and they have time to do it, would it really be that crazy? I mean, they had like a couple 100 years. Um, they also believe that they brought the Ark directly to the heart of the Catholic Church, aka the Pope in Rome.
Yeah, it said the one thing that I watched said that they brought it back to Europe, under total secrecy, and kept it hidden beneath the Cathedral of Chartres. I don't know. I can't read my own handwriting. And it's been there ever since. Is that theory?
Yeah, that's a popular one. They believe that it was definitely brought back to Europe. It's funny because in 2019, a medieval manuscript was discovered, which crazy. That points that what happened to the Ark, it all just like goes back to the Pope at that time, because in the text it said in 1100 the Ark was kept at the St. John Lateran Church in Rome. And that is the seat of the Pope in Rome, right? So they believe that it was there for 600 years, so until like the 1700s, and then it just like completely disappears. The more than likely thing that happened, at least that is believed, is that in the 1700s, it's rumored that Pope Benedict the 14th is the one that removed the Ark, which is really weird. Why he would do that, because I don't know about you, but if something has been there for 600 years, like, why the hell are you touching it? Like,
It's like we don't go messing with mummies, do we? Like,
yeah,
like
well,
their actual bodies, not their actual bodies.
I think what bothers me is that like people do mess with their bodies, like the bodies of mummies. Do you remember when we went to Washington D.C. and they had 2 mummified bodies and a baby mummy?
Mm-hmm.
That was disgusting to me. Like, why do you
It's
have
just open.
Yeah, like why do you have these people's dead bodies on display for millions of people to see every single year? It's disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
But of course that's a body, which unfortunately is drastically different than something that could kill you if you touch it. So it's like,
Yeah.
fuck, you know what I'm saying?
How is
like,
anyone touching it, honestly? But
yeah, I forgot exactly like how they would carry it, but they had a specific way.
it had two gold poles through 4
Yeah.
gold rings.
Yeah. Okay.
And
that
only
sounds
people
right.
who are allowed to touch it could touch it.
Yeah. It's a
They also
whole
transported it with like, it was covered with like animal skin so people couldn't actually see it.
thing. Yeah.
What about the theory of the Queen of Sheba, who was the ruler of Ethiopia?
Okay. So Ethiopia within itself is a crazy theory. I want you to go with that one.
She went and met the king of King Solomon, actually, and they fell in love, right? But their marriage, or I guess I don't even know if they got married actually, but their love couldn't last because they both were like rulers of their own respective areas, and so they had to part. And on her journey home, she had their son Menelik. My notes keep falling. Sorry. Stop. My God. Okay. So when Menelik was 20, she sent him back to meet his father, and he also had to return home. So, to ensure his safety, Jerusalem sends their firstborn sons to accompany him, and it wasn't until on their way back to Ethiopia that the guardians that were with him revealed to him that they were bringing the ark with them. And so Menelik thought it was God's will for him to bring it to Ethiopia, and so he continued on his way home, and it remains in Ethiopia in the Church of St. Mary in Axum, is one theory.
Yeah. So what's crazy about that theory is, like, obviously, like, we want to leave these theories up for your own personal interpretation, right? But I really think that there is something, like, really real in Ethiopia, or something that they believe is really like the Ark of the Covenant there. Um, they
I have
believe
something
it's
to add closer to the end of all of this,
okay.
though, for all of that, if I read it properly.
Okay, so as you said, like the Ark is more than likely in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion. Is that the one that you were trying to say?
Well, no, in the documentary that I was watching, it said the Church of Saint Mary in, it's not like a city, but in Axum.
Oh,
I
okay.
forgot
Never
what they
mind.
called it, a township or something like that.
Yeah. So another one is that the Ark is in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion, because it is a very, very well protected church. And in 2020, a civil war actually occurred in Ethiopia where 800 plus men, okay, died protecting this church. And the question is why? Because when you look throughout history and all of the wars that have occurred in our world, people don't just go out and die for fun. They die for something that they believe with their whole entire heart. And the reason why the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion was targeted is because it is believed that that truly is where the Ark is. And of course, you know, you have to keep in mind, like, they believe, the Ethiopians as a whole, they're very Christian. It's a very Christian country. That similar to the ancient Israelites, only one person should be able to guard and view the ark. Only one. So this person is also very similar to a high priest. And they have to undergo like this whole entire spiritual ritual in order to make sure that there was a level of spiritual cleanliness before entering the room where the ark is. And so with that being considered, like, they only, nobody truly knows, but they just know based off of their centuries of history that if one person is guarding this and being able to view the ark, there's got to be something in there, right? Even if it's not the ark itself, like I said previously, it is something that they believe is it. And it could be something, another like really ancient holy relic that we don't know, you know, like, because there are things that are still missing. The ark is obviously the more popular one, but it's just very, it's fascinating to say the least that they were willing to die to protect that church.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I have one more. It's kind of, I mean, it's interesting because I watched the whole ass documentary about it, right? So,
Yeah.
Funny enough, all the documentaries I watched are called Ark of the Covenant. So it's not like we can even pinpoint any of them. But I watched them on Roku channel. But this one, where a lot of these other theories were like speculated first, this guy named Mike Saunders, he has a theory, a new theory, and he actually picked up his hints from the Bible itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, according to the Old Testament, right, 5 years after the death of Solomon, an Egyptian pharaoh that they deemed Shishak, I think is how you pronounce it, invaded the Holy Land. And he held Jerusalem ransom, and to spare the city and all of their people, he demanded all the treasure, including all the treasure from the temple. So all the people gave over everything, which would include the Ark of the Covenant, right? And so the question would be, what did he do with it? So this guy, like, long story short, he goes and he visits the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, which is like super ancient and has like a bunch of artifacts. right? And then he's trying to figure out who Shishak is. And then everybody, like most scholars, agree that there never was a pharaoh named Shishak. Well, then he discovers that Shishak was likely the Hebrew name. So he had to figure out who he actually was. So in the biblical account, Shishak only attacks the southern part of the kingdom of Judah. And so if you look at it, like all the history, all the other pharaohs attacked both northern and southern part.
Mm-hmm.
So the only pharaoh who attacked the southern part was Ramesses III. So then they're like, well, what did he do with the covenant, right? So then he goes and he visits the mortuary temple of Ramesses III, and I think it's pronounced Medinet Hollow. I can't, like, again, I can't read my own freaking handwriting, you guys. Honestly, this sucks. But remind me next time not to scribble so hard. So he goes, and in this inner chamber, there's a whole wall that actually portrays a golden box that has two golden poles, and the top of it are wings, just like the cherub. So he thinks that is essentially the Ark of the Covenant. So then he ends up reading, let me find it. It's called the Harris Papyrus, which was written by Ramesses' sons, and it like was record of all of his achievements. He ends up like reading that and looking into it, and he finds out that there was a temple built outside of Egypt, which none of the pharaohs have ever done that before. And it was a place where they theorized that he was to receive a consignment of treasure from the kingdom of Judah. And so he goes and he finds this place, and I'm not going to try to pronounce that city because ain't no fucking way I'm going to get it right. But it's in Israel, and it was a very, like, by this time there's a lot of war going on over there and stuff, right? So Israel had actually given control of this area to the Palestinian Authority already. And so he ends up finding there's, like, a structure where somebody had 160 years prior to that, an American explorer named Edward Robinson passed through, and he described the ruins as a fortress-like tower, which likely was the temple that Ramesses built, because there's like this one distinctive feature, which was an enormous, perfectly crafted 9-foot-long stone. So he finds this, and he's trying to look for what did they call it? Hold on. It's in here like 50,000 times. A foundation deposit underneath that stone. And so he tries to get, again, permission to build, and nobody gets that permission for anything these days, I guess, because they denied him. But he brought some guy out who had like sonar technology, and they were able to detect anomalies underneath there. So that's also a theory that possibly the Ark of the Covenant is in that location because Ramesses took it.
So that's actually crazy, but something I did want to mention is, I believe next week's topic, if I'm not mistaken, one thing that we will discuss and that you'll find a theme is that with anything that's lost, missing, or is a great mystery to history, is more than likely whatever is governing or whoever is governing a city, a town, a country, whatever, they are not going to let you, if you feel like you're right in something, they're not going to let you like try to dig anything up or try to make a conclusion. It's because they know more than we do, of course, but that is a very common theme, is they're not going to let you dig or nothing. Because that happens repeatedly in this instance with the Ark of the Covenant, and especially with next week's one too. And it burns me up to some extent, but it's like, I get it in this instance, but not in next week's topic.
Well, it's kind of like, wouldn't you think, because people are so like involved in religion, and it doesn't matter really which religion you are, but like people are just so involved in it, wouldn't you think if there was actual artifacts we would want to discover that? Like that part's kind of intriguing to me. But in the flip side of it, if we're not meant to discover it yet, then we won't.
It's good that, like, you mentioned that, because one thing that is very obvious, very evident, and very clear in the book of Revelation is that we will see the Ark of the Covenant again at the end of time. That is confirmed. We will absolutely see it again. So there has to be a reason why we have not found it, right? We don't know who hid it. We don't know where it's hidden. We don't know why. I honestly, like, there are also, like, 2 other instances that I wanted to talk about that I find very fascinating. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we're supposed to find it. And if there are these government officials who more than likely may know, because there are documents that aren't supposed to be released to the public. That's in every country. And with countries that have such a history, you know, like, we're a baby country. We are so young in age as far as, like, our civilization has gone, you know? Like, we have Native American history, but they didn't document things like our white ancestors did, and non-white in Africa and other countries. But, I mean, just very interesting, you know?
On that topic too, though, did you know that the CIA supposedly knows the location of the Ark of the Covenant?
I've heard that theory. Do
you know how they got that information, though?
How?
This is the part that's wild. They use, like, basically psychics to find that information. I have the article pulled up. Let's see what they exactly called it. Hold on.
That's
I can read that fast.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so paranormal, right? Like, people are like, that stuff doesn't exist, but the CIA is literally using people.
Yeah. Oh, they know, like, with
people
us
that have, yeah,
doing our whole thing. They know that shit exists, you know?
Yeah, because they use people that have power of, like, clairvoyancy and stuff. What do they actually call them? I thought it was in here somewhere. It's remote viewing is what it's called. Remote viewing. So they use people who can, like, essentially leave their bodies, right? And, like, see where targets are hidden. And
like
how
astral CIA, projection in a way? Like,
basically, yeah. So the CIA, like, they give, like, okay, so they'll write the Ark of the Covenant on an envelope, put it in the envelope, give it to that person. That person's not allowed to open it, and then they do their thing, and they're like, this is what I'm seeing. And they don't know what's written on the envelope.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You'll have to go, like, Google and read the whole article. I can send it to you, actually.
Yeah.
But
please do.
It's wild.
You want to know what else is wild? That in the documentary I was watching when I was finding out, like, my information, and some of it I just needed to be, like, refreshed on. But this one, I didn't know about this, but there are legends that the Ark of the Covenant is actually on a mountaintop in France called Monsieur, right? And it was like, there was this group of people called the Cathars, I believe, that were deeply spiritual, and they believed that because of this, the Ark was hidden there more than likely by the Knights Templar. So this is such a, like, thing in Europe that during World War II, the Nazis, specifically the Nazi leaders,
I heard about this one.
Heydrich Himmler and Hitler sent people out on a quest to France on top of Monsieur and made them, like, look, because they wanted the Ark's power. If you remember at the beginning of this, I said that the Ark has the power of a nuclear weapon. Literally, that's why. Could you imagine if they did find it there, which obviously they didn't, what that could have meant?
Okay, but bold of Hitler to assume that he could use something God created against the Jews. Like, let's
bold of Hitler to use something that was
what?
That was literally Jewish, and he hates Jews.
What the fuck, Hitler? Like, you dumb or are you dumb? Like, tell me you're dumb without telling me
Honestly,
you're dumb.
Hitler will always be like
Bruh.
one of my most hated people of all time. Like, you're such a fucking idiot. Like, I can't fucking I just fuck you.
You're literally gonna be like, God created this for you. I'm gonna use it against you. How does that
It's like,
work?
yeah,
It doesn't
right.
work that way.
The Jewish are like that's one thing that people don't understand is like Jewish people are God's people.
Yeah.
So you think
So-
he's gonna give you that power to use against his people?
Hitler straight up's like, I'm gonna find the Ark of the Covenant and use it. Like, homie, do you know the history of the Ark of the Covenant? Like,
What a fucking idiot, bro. Like, wow. Uno reverse that shit, motherfucker. Like,
it almost makes you wish he would have found it just to see what would have happened to him.
he would have absolutely, like, Germany would have blown the fuck up in 5.
Combust.
It's
There's
like
no
5
world war
seconds.
after that. God was like, got you. Poof.
Boom, it's over.
Only Fear Babes can make jokes about fucking.
I mean, it's true. Like,
Jeez Louise.
like say psych right now. I'm like gonna commit.
What a weirdo.
Now, my last one that I wanted to talk about is one of the most interesting things in history. Like, as far as it goes with the covenant, okay? In 1982, a man named Ron Wyatt claimed that he found the Ark of the Covenant under Jerusalem. Remember how we were talking about that whole thing with King Zedekiah and hiding it when the Babylonians came about? Well, obviously, Ron Wyatt kept that in the back of his head, and he's like, yo, I just feel like, you know, that's a high possibility, too, is that, you know, the Ark of the Covenant is in Jerusalem, in the Holy Land, where it should be, right?
It would make sense because, like, one of the other theories we talked about, I can't remember which one because they are blending together, but somebody said, like, it was heavy, you know, like, people couldn't take it that far because they had to physically carry it, so they had to do something, like, if they're surrounded by Babylonians, there's no getting shit in and out of the city.
That's another thing, too, where I'm like, you know, like, putting on something right there. But the thing about Ron Wyatt's situation is he is not like an educated archaeologist. He doesn't have a doctorate's degree. He was just a regular guy like you and I. He was a member of a church, and he was like, I'm going to find this shit. And he also claimed to have found like the place where Noah's Ark rests, and he did a lot of traveling to find holy relics. And so he dug without this is the key thing that I want you guys to remember. He did not get permission from the people of Israel or the city of Jerusalem. None of that. He just started hacking and whacking away at rock in Jerusalem. And he, you know, gets down in there. I mean, it took him a while to get in, okay? And he says that he dug and dug and dug, finally got to this little crevice, and through a little tiny camera, he claims to have found the Ark of the Covenant situated exactly under the spot where Jesus Christ was crucified. And he literally ran out of money, had to return home, and when he returned, the place where he dug to find the ark was completely sealed by the city of Jerusalem, and they absolutely refused his request for re-entry.
Did you know also there's a video, it was out of context, so I don't know if it was for this situation or a different situation, because so people theorize that that's where the concept of Indiana Jones came from, was this man.
Mm-hmm.
But would you say his name's Ron Wyatt or something?
Ron
like
Wyatt,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. And so he at one point had found dried blood, and he actually like took a sample of it and sent it in, and like they centrifuged it basically for 72 hours. And then when they looked at the sample, the white blood cells were living, and they found 24 chromosomes, because he got 23, Jesus got 23 from Mary, and then one from God, right, to determine if he was male or female. And then they said that it was actually living blood, and then like nowhere is that possible to be like it's just scientifically not possible. So
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting story too. But I don't, like I said, that I only saw that much. The video was literally just that information, so I don't know in what context that was.
That absolutely was in that context. That was it. And I just thought that that was very fascinating that he left, came back, it was sealed up. And of course they're going to deny him re-entry because A, he should have never been there to begin with. But also B, if he truly found the Ark, they know it. You know? Like, they're like, you know,
but also crazy. Like, how did he make it that far without anybody stopping him during him doing it? You know, it's like
different time period. It
makes you wonder, but it also kind of makes you wonder, like, did God allow him to? Because he did say that angels spoke to him.
It's true. This was in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was, when was it? It was when I say 1982. 82. Yeah, that's what I said. So shit was very different back then. But, you know.
Do you know what else is interesting, Mads?
What?
The 80s is when the CIA found the location. So what was going on in the 80s? Because I think it was said 1988, I believe.
So full circle, it's not even funny.
So what's going on in the 80s where God's like, maybe? Just kidding.
And what's interesting, too, is that if Ron Wyatt is correct and the Ark was under the place where Jesus was crucified, right? In 1 Samuel 4:4, the mercy seat on top of the Ark is seen as the throne of God and was consistently as it was used and, you know, when they communicated, all that kind of stuff, okay? And if I remember correctly, with the Ron Wyatt situation, is that with the throne of God and then Jesus's crucifixion with the blood, it would have fell directly on top of the throne of God, the mercy seat. So that's very interesting, right? Nothing is a coincidence, and that's something I want to emphasize too. Nothing in this world is ever a coincidence, but definitely not with this. Whatever happened with the Ark, we'll probably never know until, you know, at the end of time.
Until we're supposed to.
Because of what we discussed earlier with, you know, like, we're just not supposed to know. That's why it's gone. And in my personal opinion, I believe it was always God's plan for it to be gone. Because otherwise, why would it be mentioned of its return?
Disappeared.
Yeah. It has a grand return that's going to happen. And that was mentioned in Revelation. So, I'm curious as to what you all think. And unless Bergie has anything else to say.
And they have one, and this is just my own question because this is how my brain works with shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, like, everybody's entitled to their own thoughts and opinions and everything, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to just caveat that with just, this is me talking because I'm talking through my thinking process, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not trying to skew people one way or another. But people who, like, believe in, like, paranormal and everything, it's like, sometimes I'm like, how can you believe in ghosts or Bigfoot or aliens or something, but they, like, then when it comes to God, they just draw the line because people are like, we don't have proof. Well, actually, people are finding artifacts from biblical times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they know where Noah's Ark is at, like, and it's so, like, we are getting proof, but people just don't want to acknowledge that, and that's just weird to me. And it's just like, there's no answer here. I'm just talking out loud, really, or thinking out loud, but
it's true.
It's just like something I thought of when I was, like, learning all of this stuff about the Ark of the Covenant. I'm like, how is it that people are so anti the Bible isn't real, anti none of this happened, when we have actual physical pieces of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the people that deny are people who are definitely the kind of people who say one thing but do another, if that makes sense. Like, okay, so you're going to believe in aliens that have magical powers, more than likely super advanced ancient aliens that came and helped the ancients build stuff to hit like incredible dimensions and proportions, but yet you don't believe that these beings were created by God, or that, you know, like the Bible isn't a history book, and that, you know, like everything that's in the Bible can be proved through science. Henceforth, the blood that was found when Ron Wyatt had it sampled and it was missing half of its chromosomes, how do you think that's possible? That's scientifically proven. Like, even people who were non-believers, you know, like they have become believers through the science of it all. It can be proved through science. It's just a matter of if you want to believe that it can be proved through science. That's my answer.
Yeah.
So with the Ark of the Covenant, like, you know, there is, you know, things that can, like, its powers can be explained through science, but God gave very specific dimensions for a reason. And that didn't just come from nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Back
it's
to
just
your being proved through science thing. I saw something and it was very brief, and I changed what I was watching because it wasn't the direction I was trying to go with all of this, but it said something along the lines of, because it was made of acacia wood and was then coated in gold, it created like a negative ion charge on the outside of it, and then a positive on the inside, which acted as sealant to keep the lid on, actually.
Yeah.
And then also, like, if you touched it, you would actually get zapped because of the way that the ions are reacting to each other.
Yeah. So it's, you know, like, all I'm saying is there's a reason, there's proof behind it. Like, I think a lot of people think that Christians or, you know, like Jewish people, because, you know, Jewish people, the Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible, so like they think that we're crazy, right? Because they're like, y'all are science deniers and all this kind of stuff, and that's not the case at all. Like, nobody's a science denier. We actually encourage science. A lot of us do, because it can all be proved through science. So,
well, I mean, if God made everything, he made science. So.
Yeah, exactly. So boom, bam, turkey and ham.
And that is where we'll end it. Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. Yeah, so let us know what theory that we discussed you think could be what happened to the Ark of the Covenant. We'd love to know.
Sorry, I heard something. Yes, please let us know. If you like this podcast, please like, comment, and subscribe wherever you're listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have an Etsy, so go buy our shirts on Etsy. Do that.
Do that for sure. Subscribe to our Patreon if you want to support the podcast. It's $5 a month. We do spooky gaming as our extra podcast a month because we love spooky games.
No, we don't. Mads loves spooky games.
It's fun.
I do not.
She likes Repo, so that does count.
Repo is hilarious, though.
It is.
Because the robots and the mouth moving, and then there's only like 6 monsters, so you get used to them after a while.
Yeah. But what's scary about it is you get caught, so...
It's the when you're walking and you turn around and they're standing right there, that scares you. Or
Yeah.
if you open the door and the head's right there, because that's happened to me.
Yeah.
I die that way a lot, actually.
Same.
Yeah, so...
But yeah, that, and follow us on everything. We're at Fear Babes. Follow us on TikTok. We're trying to get on the TikTok game. So
go watch our vlogs, maybe.
Yeah.
YouTube. We have some vlogs posted.
Posted a new one
last year.
for
and
Friday.
This year. We're going to have another one, right? From Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's not going to be very long, probably, but... Yeah, so other than that, I'm gonna go lay down because I've been really dizzy and trying not to fall on my chair this whole fucking time, so...
Oh, that sounds awful. So, yeah.
That's why I've just been like... oh, damn it.
I'm gonna go eat my Mexican food now because I'm hungry.
I'm gonna go take a nap. Bye.
Bye, babes.
Bye, babes. Love you.